In half a mile, turn left.
On my way to drop off an order, and I was thinking about something. If all we're going to do is try to get 1+1 unit, here's the easy part, right? Whatever it is you decide you're going to play for, you win. You win it. Whatever it is, doesn't matter how much. You win it. If that's all you went in there to do.
In 0.1 miles, turn left.
Sorry about that. If that, she's going to do it again. So, just me.
Turn left.
If that is all you went in there to do. And it was something of significant value. Like I've said, I'm going to try to save up 10 grand, and I'm just going to win a one table minimum a day. Right? But it's going to have a fucking 0 on the end of it. We all know we're capable going in and playing small with no reservations or fear that we can't win a few. I said a few. But for some reason, when we're playing with big money, we're scared to even do it once. It's just a unit. That's all it is. It's just a unit, but you have to have the money to support it. And if you don't, you shouldn't be betting that much. And I'll see people do it all the time. I've done it. I have no business doing it because I'm overconfident. I think I've explained why I have enough confidence to be that person. But you still can't be if you don't have the bankroll to support it. And you can't just be like, well, I'm going to see if this works and see if that works. I mean, I suppose you could. I suppose even just pissing in the wind, a blind squirrel is going to find a nut eventually. Sure. Sure. But if you're lucky enough to play like that and get a +1, would you leave with it? Or would you think, well, just got to hang in there. It's a matter of time before we win. Yes and no. Some shoes aren't designed to win based on the way that you're playing at the moment. And if you jump around strategy to strategy to strategy and you're losing 3 units there, 3 units here, 3 units there, that shit will add up on you. So I'm just trying to mentally prepare people that give a damn about this channel, that even care to watch these videos. It's about developing your mental fortitude to think, what are we really fucking doing here, right? I don't know what people do for a living or make for money, whatever. For some people, it's not a big deal. Go drop a pool in their backyard and invest all this money into it to do it. I know for me it would be. I'd have to have a yard first. But such is life. Yeah. So, you got to think about that 1 unit and what it's worth, and that's great. And even if you were able to get multiple table minimums in a day, 1 quarter at a time, yes, you could get a big unit multiple times in a day. But you have to decide going in what your daily goal is going to be, and understand no matter what things look like, that's good enough. More than good enough. At that value, and that's why I extrapolate all the time what it would be over 30 days. Because if you're able to execute that vision for just long enough, you'll have so much capital built up, you're not even using your starting capital anymore effectively. You've tabled the starting capital and you're working off your results. People open a business will tell you, you're probably not taking the profit out of your business even for the first 3 to 5 years. Everything's going back into the business. Jesus, fucking bicyclist just came out of nowhere at me. But they don't give a fuck, do they? They're just like, well, I'm turning, bro. He's alive. He's okay. Anyway, So, man, I got the sniffles. I'm going to have to drop off this order in just a minute or two. I might have to pause it, and if so, if the
1
video
mile.
disconnects,
Turn right.
I'll do a part 2 to this. But, you know, I'll be practicing sometimes, and I won't leave a shoe. And I always think back to my guy that asked about what my stop loss would be. And I'm just thinking, what if the stop loss is the very first time you lose on a shoe? Theoretically. Look how many times recently on the road to 100 where I'm able to win on the first try. And it's not the first hand of the shoe. Sometimes it's not even the first 5 hands of the shoe. It's somewhere that I elect to decide based on the results that I'm seeing of that shoe in particular.
In a quarter of a mile. Turn right.
Sorry about this. But just in case this gets ended, I just wanted to finish that thought. Think about, what if all we did was just bet once a shoe? And if it worked, great. If it didn't,
Turn
oh well.
right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think I would do that. I think I would just try to grind it out. That's the whole purpose of
You've
having a
arrived.
system. All right, I'm back. Gotta, like I said, I have to rethink my train of thought here. So, yeah. How many of those shoes did I do, though? You know, on a few of those videos where I was able to do 10 shoes in a row and win 1 units in a row. Sometimes I'd get an extra because it was a little less than a unit. It was closer to half a unit after commission, right? So I'd go and I'd try to get just 1 extra. But you could even say effectively that was 2 units if you were in Canada on those, and I wasn't paying that commission. Super 6 notwithstanding, of course. But those are few and far between, aren't they? Sometimes they happen together, but not often. Sometimes. But anyway, fuck it. Commission's commission, bro. Like, you're gonna fight that either way, I suppose. But even if you were getting paid half once in a while, and it just so happened that the time you invested was the time it got paid half, of course that's gonna suck. You waited all that time, you got the critical win, the first time you finally decided to bet, and it's only gonna pay a half. At least it didn't lose. You know. It's another way to look at it. Let's say you are a Canada player, or anywhere that Super 6 only pays half. Fuck that. So half the job's done then, right? So now you've minimized your risk, at least for 1 hand. Now, if your ultimate goal is to get out with the full unit, now you just got to bet the other half and hope a 6 don't come out again on Banker, right? Or just bet on player. Say, fuck it, I've never bet on Banker again. But you know what I mean? If it came to that where the bet called for Banker, you could just bet the other half. So, you know, if you're betting, like I'm projecting 250, but if you were betting 100 and then you won 50 and your objective was to get out of there every day with $100, which by the way would be great because you make $3,000 a month. It's not bad to hit it and quit it and say, yeah, discuss this. But if you only got paid half, you'd only have $50, so what? So now you just bet for $50 on the spot where you want to try for it, and as long as it hits the next time, well, you got the whole 100, you're done. It's the same thing with 250. You won 125. Give me a moment. Pause, motherfucker. Sorry about that. At least I'll be occupied for a bit. Oh, wait a second. I gotta.
In half a mile.
Well,
Turn right.
made a grave error because the place I thought I was going, I thought was closer, and it's actually the far east side of my zone, which kind of sucks to go to, and then I got to go out of my zone, which none of you care about because none of you do what I do, so I won't bore you with the details, but it's
In
a
a quarter
pain
of
in
a
the dick.
mile.
Then I'm going to have to drive all the way back down. Now, I could on a sign up, but I'm not going to anyway. That's not your problem. So, like I said, if you were to make 125, you don't have to get the other 125, and then you'd have your 250. So your risk becomes minimized. First of all, you won. Whether or not you got paid half, you won. So now you just got to get the other half, at least for one. If it loses on your second effort, well, you didn't lose another 250 then. You only lost what you won, which was a 125. Another school of thought is, you wanted to overcome the commission, you could just bet like 140 or 150 even. And if it wins, you know, you're not paying commission on a Super 6 shoe. Whatever it is, fuck it. Forget I said that part. You just gotta bet half. You gotta bet the other half of your unit to get the full 250, obviously, and then you're done. If it loses, then you're back to betting the full unit again, but then you're done. But I want to talk about the other side of it, right? I talk about what happens if you don't get it. And you put yourself back. Let's say you're just doing a 1-1 and it fails. And you do another 1-1 on something else and that fails. And then you do another 1-1 somewhere else. Well, now you're back 6 units. And I understand. Sorry, I had to turn my air on. It's getting hot in here. 6 units is daunting to fix, but certainly not impossible. So how do you go about doing that if we're just going to play the first hand of the shoe? Well, I've seen enough shoes where we can win on the first try. Not every shoe's made equal. And eventually, you're going to run into the shoe that's just going to be almost impossible to fix. You've seen it. There's shoes I've done, no matter how I try to play it. You know, you should have went left when you should have went right. You know, or you went left when you should have went right. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you try to play for, it's like, nope, that didn't work either. Nope, that didn't work either. You know, you could limit the variable of what you're going to fight for, but that variable can never present itself. And then meanwhile, you're looking at all the other stuff that could have, should have worked, but you weren't betting for it because you're trying to be careful, and you know. You're sitting out of the other stuff. Yeah, you're frustrated that you had to watch that happen. And then you're like, fuck this, I'm going to get a piece of this too. You jump in and then that's over, right? That's what I'm saying. You got to be on whatever the new variable is at the onset when it starts to produce, or you already missed out, guys. You can't worry that it kept happening. You had one chance to jump in. Whether it's a run, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying. It's all the same. In its own right. You have one chance to jump in. That moment, you know when that moment is for you. However many deep that run is, or instance in time is, whatever it is. If you don't jump in on it, then you gotta write off the fuck off. That's all it is. You have to write it off. Because if you don't, you're going to let that feel like money that you left on the table. If you're able to say to yourself, yeah, that's fine, that's cute, that happened. Sure, I could have won on that. Sure, I'd already be gone home, right? I know. Especially when I'm betting for something else and my chop opens up and I'm ignoring it. And I hate myself. You know, that's the one that gets me. It ain't the long runs. I never believe a long run's going to go for long anyway. And a long runs are like, it has to stay the same indefinitely. You know how hard that is to happen? Chops, I at least got a second chance. You know, if I'm betting it on two-hand efforts for it not to go 3, sure, there could be a bunch of, you know, little bumps in the road there where it went 2 down. But as long as it didn't go 3 down, I'm catching it on the second try. And then with my burn hands, sometimes I don't even get hurt by the one that came down. And I'm betting against the second not to go 3, right? Just depends where it fell. Another thought is you could bet the 1-2 on those, and if it never goes 3, you're never losing. But this is why I think if you're going to find one solitary thing to fight for, unless you're going to do a follow the rabbit strategy that everything's going to run, it's going to change color. I'm betting for the run to change color. Well, I'm betting for the run there now. I'm just going to keep following the color. And let me tell you,
1 mile. Turn right.
that can work too. It can. We've all seen it where things come down side by side like 5-6 times, right? Where you just follow the color, and the only one you're losing is the one that changes at the top when it initially changed the color. But then everything underneath that, you're winning. But for that strategy to work, you'd have to have where things at least got to the second, so you're at least getting your money back on the change up of the color. And if that happens too many times where it starts 2-2-2ing, well, you should probably abandon following the rabbit on making the colors come down. Just like with the chop.
In a quarter of a mile, turn right.
Especially if you're flat betting on a chop, right? This is where flat betting on the chop annoys me, is when I'm betting a 1 and then a 1. But all I'm doing is I'm losing on the second, and I'm making my money back on the next that didn't go 3, right? It goes 2, and then it goes 1, and then it goes a second, and then it goes another. It's 2-2-2ing.
Turn right.
I'm never winning on that, on a chop. Not on a flat bet, I'm not. That's why the 1-2 became a good go-to bet for me, because if I lose on the first one, no problem. Just don't go 3. It works for me, right? I was willing to invest 3 units.
1 mile.
3
At the roundabout.
to keep a chop alive.
Take the first exit.
So that's great. And it's a very good way to win on a chop, is to bet the 1-2. You could have that shit go 10 wide without it ever going 3, which means every color change, you're making a unit. You're making a lot of money. And that's why people know me about the chop. They're like, John was here, he would have ate this up. How does not anyone? How many shoes do you see where there's long runs of chops that never go 3? 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, but never goes 3. You watch and you play. I'm telling you, that's probably the strongest thing. If my life depended on it, and I had to pick one thing
0.1 miles.
to try to break
At the
them,
roundabout.
it would be that.
Take the first exit.
And it's not a parlay bet either. Not really. It's not. Because if you were trying to parlay, you could lose on the times that it goes to the second when you're trying to get it to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. Unless you're going to bet every second, then yes, maybe. But now you're not betting for the chop, you're betting
At
for the
the
second.
roundabout.
You could bet and wait
Take the
that
first exit.
you're just going to see how many seconds in a row jump without it going 3. You could do that, but now it's a waiting game again. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with waiting for the right time to strike. How many minutes? 18 minutes. I'm almost at my location here. I'm going to pick up after I pick this up with,
You've arrived.
the back push of it all. Okay, so
In 0.1 miles,
I'm sorry about all that.
turn left.
So yeah, the pushback. Like, I'm thinking, the only hard part
Turn left.
is getting shoes to produce with, especially locally where I live, where there's only one shoe typically, and at the most 2. I can't just walk in there and say, well, I'm going to play one hand, and if it doesn't work, then fucking I'm just going to wait around for the next shoe. You know how long it takes them to get through shoes? I know I could play through my shoes on the app in like 10 minutes if I play the whole shoe, maybe 15 minutes if I play the whole shoe. Not so in real life, unless I have a private table where nobody's there. You know, if I'm willing to go in the middle of the night and write off 40 banker hands at $5 a hand a commission, or 40 hands at, say I could get a $15 table, it would only be 75 cents commission, so it'd be like $30 a shoe to burn the commission. I could probably suffer that. I could. But I wouldn't want to. If my unit was strong enough unit, I wouldn't care about the $30 because I'm only there to win the one unit, and hopefully I don't pay commission on it when I do. If not, then that would be like me paying the commission anyway, right? On a $250 bet, you know. So, you know, I'd be paying $12.50 on that if it was a banker win. So that's my point. You could always make back the commission too if you wanted to, or burning all the hands. If I was there in the middle of the night playing by myself though on a private table where no one was there, I could probably get shit done quickly. If I didn't like what happened at the beginning, I just said, fuck it, I don't care what the shoe does. And I'm burning through the shoe, let's say, I might find something later on the shoe. It's like, you know what, this is fucking working. Why don't I just bet for that like it's a new shoe? But try to limit yourself how many times in a shoe you're going to take that strike. And have there be no second effort.
1 mile.
Right?
Exit right.
If you're betting them back to back, it could be a quicksand situation and you don't even realize it yet. So that's my point. When I see how many times I'm playing on the videos for strategies that I like to play, and I'm able to win on the first bet, well, why make it any harder than that? I'm trying to simplify the simplification, right? I'm only trying to get one, but if I don't get it, I'm not going to get butthurt by it. I'm going to eliminate it from my mind that event happened. Because the alternative is, no matter what I try to do, it's wrong kind of thing. Or worse still, you get beat by the same outcome every time. Now, isn't that bizarre? Like, you'll have a situation where you're always losing 1/0.
In a quarter of a mile.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Exit right.
Makes you wonder if it's not a hand shuffler, a little plastic shoe with cards in it, as opposed to a thing with blinking lights on it. Doesn't that make you wonder? Now, I've beaten those shoes enough times to know I don't think they cheat, but it makes me wonder.
Right.
It makes me wonder that it doesn't just move the cards around in there somehow. I bet you it does. I know the blackjack ones do. If you think the dealer gets perfect hands all the time, you're fucking crazy. That thing's doing something. So if you're playing blackjack on an automated shuffler or something like that, kill yourself. What are you even doing? You might as well just get it over. No, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, what are you trying to do here? Like, that's insane. So I ask myself, am I any different when I'm playing on these shoes with the red and blue lights and the green and whatever the fuck happens, and all of a sudden, you know, there's a defect with the shoe and all the red lights that come on and this loud blaring noise comes on. All the pits got to come over and fuck around and fix it. I don't know what the fuck happens to it. But I have a theory. Something happened where the cards got jammed being moved around from inside and it got fucked up, as all electronics do eventually. But I don't know. I don't know. Not for sure. But you can't go into it thinking you don't have a chance, because you always do. You have to go into it thinking there's two options, right? Ties notwithstanding, ties don't hurt you anyways. Red or blue. If you're not betting bonus, you're basically a 50-50 game. That's what it should be. And the grand mystery of it all is, how does everyone get fucked in a 50-50 game? The law of averages, you should even out and get one eventually. But how many people find themselves in the backward spiral where they just can't ever get back to even because they'll lose 4, 5, 6 in a row? So, those are hard to fix. You've seen how hard it is for me to fix sometimes. Sometimes I got to do some some clever things to fix it, and I don't always fix it. We've seen the shoe where I get fucked. But that's reality. That's going to happen if you stay in a bad shoe. I say it after it happened. I'm like, look at this shoe now, right? I'll say, look at this objectively. However it is you wanted to play, I'll bet it wouldn't have worked on a shoe like this. I'll see the way it looks. You weren't getting any runs. You weren't getting any chops, at least chops that never went 3. You weren't getting any single chops, or you would have already had the ones that didn't go 3. You're not getting the seconds. Second player, second pick, not consistently. Sometimes in the middle of all that chaos, the 3-4 would have worked, but sometimes not even that. Because sometimes it would go to 5 anyway. Brad Special, he's not immune to their cocksuckery either. He'll have a number of 5s that go 6, but then it stops cold on 6. Second it touches the bottom, and never right hand turn. So everyone got fucked, no matter how you play those. You need to be able to identify what a good shoe looks like. Take a mental picture of that bitch in your mind and realize that's how winning is done. We want winners. Can't do anything with the bad ones. Can't win with them. Ain't that what Singletary said? I want winners.
In 1 mile, exit right.
So, have an identity in your mind of what a good shoe looks like for you. Don't make a fucking bet until you see it opening up the way that you like to play. Doesn't have to be how I play, anyone else plays. Like another guy said to me, we can win 1 unit with any stupid system. Player only, banker only, whatever it is. You can do anything you want to get 1. But you better try to qualify it first, one way or the other.
In 1/4 mile, exit right.
Because no matter what you play for, nothing stays the same forever. Something can be dominant though, so you better be careful about betting against that dominancy. Excuse me a moment.
Exit right.
She's probably going to talk to me again. Maybe not though. That's my daughter. Several years ago, I had her do the Waze directions. And I just always kept it on. Anyway, it's cute, I love it. Anyway, I've probably gone a while on this video. Yeah, we're already at 27 minutes. I'm not sure that anything I said really was worth your time. But I'm just trying to make people think more critically about the idea of the unit. And that every time you lose 1, you're that much closer to being in a deep hole, right? So, rule number 1, my children, is don't chase. And just because it feels like the sky is in fact falling, doesn't mean that it is. It just means the
1
rainbow's
mile.
waiting somewhere else.
Turn left.
Just be able to identify, based on your experience, what a bad shoe looks like to you. And never forget what a bad shoe looks like. So when it begins to form, you'll be like, aha, see, I've seen this bullshit before. I know what's going to happen. I know how they're going to try to do me here. You know what I mean? Cut card notwithstanding, that shuffler tries to shuffle things in a way where it's going to fuck you. You want to know how to beat the shuffler? When they pop it up out of the little machine and then they put them in the shoe. You know how you beat it? You know how I beat it? More than I don't. I try to cut as close as they'll let me to the front of the shoe. Or the back. If I cut it anywhere in the middle, or if somebody else does, I feel like we get fucked every time. You'll hear the whole table, you might as well just let the dealer cut it. You're going to cut it there. You know what I mean? It's like, what was the point of giving that guy the fucking card? And it doesn't mean it's going to matter. It doesn't matter where they cut it. There's always something you can find. But you know what I find? I find there's a variable that sticks. Whatever it's going to be, whether it's a chop, whether it's a dominant color, whatever it is, if I offset what the shuffler tried to do. Think about this now. If you were able to separate
In 0.1 miles.
cards from themselves
Turn left.
in coming out in the order that it predicted, if you cut it closer to the middle, first of all, whatever happened at the front was already preordained, that they had an expectation of how the cards were going to come out. But if I cut it closer to the front
Turn left.
or the back, I offset everything. Because they're going to take the smaller side and put it in the back anyway. Well, whether I do it from the front or the back, it's still going to offset the results. Because if they're taking it from the back and putting it in the front, and they're taking it from the front and putting it in the back, you're still putting the smaller side on the other side.
In half a mile.
So,
Turn right.
whatever's left over at the back is going to be what gets burned at the end of the shoe. That doesn't count. Or they're going to burn the first 14 cards, whatever it is, whatever comes
In
out.
a quarter of a mile.
14 from the back, blah, blah,
Turn
blah,
right.
you know. I feel like it's going to offset all the preordained results if you're able to make a different variable at the beginning of the shoe than what they might have already thought. Whereas if you're putting a whole bunch of cards at the front, it's not really offsetting very much. Now, that's just me. That's my own psychology to the whole idea. But I'll tell you what, for me it works. It's something else I've never talked about before. There's some people I hate when they cut the shoe because they're just fucking stupid. Right? I think we've all got our own idiosyncrasies about cutting a shoe.
In half a mile. Turn left.
Just don't drop it right in the middle. I mean, the fucking dealer could have did that. And if the casino's telling the dealer to do that, do you think I want to do what the dealer does? Well, guess what, guys? I started cutting even closer than close to the front of the shoe. The closer I get to the front of the shoe, they get mad. The pits come over and tell me I can't cut that close to the front of the shoe. Well, why should it matter where I cut it? We're just cutting cards. It doesn't matter where I cut it. Well, I'll tell you what. They are concerned about me
In
cutting
0.1 mile.
close to the front or the back.
Turn left.
They won't let me do it. They say it's got to be at least a deck. I'm like, fine. I'm not going to make it that perfect for you. I'm going to cut it at least a deck and a little bit more, thereby trying to
Turn
make
left.
that offset situation. But it's harder to tell. I'm not quite sure when I'm trying to cut it how thick a deck actually is. So, you should practice that. They hold them still enough so you can see.
In half a mile.
Just practice seeing what the width of
Turn
the deck
left.
is, and then go a little bit further than that, you know? Of course, I'll do that, and they'll still tell me that's not enough. So now it's like I'm cutting through 3 decks. I don't know. It just feels like the marker they
quarter
try
of
to
a
give me
mile.
is not enough.
Turn left.
I tried to do other things. This other guy I know showed me to put the cut card on there, and he'd do the width of the cut card,
Turn left.
the length of the cut card, and
Rerouting.
hang on, I just
In
fucked
half a
up.
mile.
I gotta drive off road here a second.
Turn left.
Sorry, Amber.
Turn right.
But they don't want the cut card touching the cards, really, because that's gonna. What am I gonna see through osmosis? The cards touching the. They have so many things like about not doing anything wrong. It's bizarre. But I'm probably going to call the video here because we're over 30 minutes. I'm kind of just talking. But I do like that. Watch when you go to cut the cards. They don't want you to cut close to the front or the back. Now, if they didn't have anything to worry about, why would everybody have a problem with you doing that? I think unilaterally they know that that's how you beat the shuffler. Right? Why would they have a fucking problem with me for cutting that way if it wasn't a problem? Who cares where I cut it? It's my decision. It's my fate in my own hands. But they won't let me do it. So I'm going to stop the video there. Just think about that. Let's just try to stay close to 1 unit. And if it ain't working, just call it a day, bro. Okay, bye.